Well, the population of pythons in the Everglades has dramatically dropped.
Burmese pythons have devastated native wildlife in the Everglades.
They found the first body near a drainage dock canal. A native snake, mouth open, gasping for air that would not come. Then they found another, and another. This was not a predator attack. This was something else, something living inside them. We finally have the footage that connects the dots, and it is gruesome. It is not just a story about big snakes eating little animals anymore. It is about a biological time bomb that just hit zero. And get this, the only thing that might save us is a mythical beast we thought was extinct. Recovered data, the empty forest. You know that sound of a healthy forest at night? The chirping, the rustling, the constant hum of life? Well, if you step into the southern Everglades tonight, you will not hear it. You will hear wind through the sawgrass, the slap of water against the hull of your boat, and nothing else. It is a silence so heavy it feels like pressure in your ears. And that silence is the first clue that something has gone terribly, horribly wrong. For the last few years, researchers have been pulling SD cards from trail cameras stationed deep in the river of grass. These cameras are supposed to track biodiversity, count the raccoons, the opossums, the bobcats. But when they plugged these cards into their laptops, they saw something that made their blood run cold. Or rather, they did not see anything at all. The footage was empty. Hour after hour of waving grass and shadows, no glowing eyes, no foraging animals. Just a void. Data released, or rather leaked from frustrated field researchers, paints a picture of an ecosystem that has been effectively sterilized. We are talking about a collapse that sounds statistically impossible. In the core infection zones, raccoon populations have not just dipped, they have crashed by 99.3%. Opossums, down 98.9%. Bobcats, 87% gone. Basically, the entire mammal population of the southern Everglades has been vacuumed up. For a long time, we thought we knew why. We blamed the Burmese python, the giant constrictor that invaded the swamp in the 90s. And yeah, a 20-foot snake requires a lot of calories, but here's the catch. The math never quite added up. Even with 300,000 snakes, the speed of the collapse was too fast. It was too absolute. New footage from the northern edge of the invasion zone is finally showing us the reason why. It was not just about predation, it was about fear. The remaining animals did not just get consumed, they changed their behavior entirely. They stopped moving. They stopped breeding. They went underground. The footage shows a landscape of fear where the mere scent of a python causes native species to freeze, starve, or flee. But the emptiness of the swamp was just the opening act. The cameras eventually did pick up something that was not supposed to be there. And when you see what is happening to the native snakes, the ones that the pythons are not eating, you realize that the silence was just a warning. The real horror was not the big snake you could see. It was the invisible monster it brought with it. Patient Zero, the storm of '92. To understand the nightmare we are looking at today, we have to rewind the tape to a single chaotic night in August 1992, Hurricane Andrew. If you were in South Florida back then, you remember the sound.
It remains one of the most destructive hurricanes in U.S. history, with winds of up to 157 miles per hour and a 17-foot storm surge. Andrew's destruction was nothing short of devastating to Miami, especially South Miami, where the storm made landfall.
It sounded like a freight train screaming through your living room. Winds hit 165 miles per hour. It leveled Homestead. It turned trailer parks into aluminum confetti. But while humans were huddled in bathtubs praying for sunrise, something else was happening on the edge of the wetlands. A reptile breeding facility, basically a warehouse full of exotic pets destined for suburban terrariums, took a direct hit. The roof was ripped off like the lid of a sardine can. Cages were smashed, glass shattered, and into the raging storm, hundreds of baby Burmese pythons slithered away. They did not just survive the storm, they rode it. They washed into the canals, drifted into the tree islands, and found themselves in a snake utopia. But it was not just the hurricane. That is the convenient story everyone tells. The truth is darker. Throughout the 90s, the exotic pet trade was booming. People were buying these snakes for $10 at flea markets. They were cute, manageable, and cool, until they were not. A Burmese python grows fast. In a year, it is not a cute noodle anymore. It is a muscle-bound predator looking at your cat like a snack. Overwhelmed owners did the humane thing. They drove out to the tampering roads, opened a pillowcase, and shook the snake out into the grass. Be free, they thought. What they were actually doing was lighting the fuse on a biological nuclear weapon. The Everglades is warm, wet, and full of food. It is literally identical to the python's home range in Southeast Asia, but with one massive difference. Nothing here knew what a python was. A Florida rabbit knows to run from a fox. It knows to watch the sky for hawks. It has zero evolutionary programming to tell it that the mossy log next to the water is actually an ambush predator, capable of striking at 20 miles per hour. The pythons ate the buffet. Then they started breeding. A female can lay 100 eggs at a time. Do the math. One snake becomes 100. Those 100 become 10,000. For 20 years, we tried to fight them with brute force. We held python challenges. We paid guys from the swamp to hunt them. We even tried using Judas snakes, tagging a male and following him to the females. But for every snake we eliminated, 1,000 more hatched. And while we were distracted by the visible invasion, the pythons were deploying their secret weapon. It was not their size. It was not their appetite. It was a hitchhiker hiding in their lungs, gasping for air in the swamp. This is where the story turns from an action movie into pure biological horror. Field researchers started noticing something weird a few years ago. They would find a native pygmy rattlesnake, a tough, venomous little survivor, lying lifeless on the trail. No bite marks, no crushed bones, just gone. When they brought these snakes back to the lab and opened them up, the room went silent. The lungs of these native snakes were packed, literally stuffed, with parasitic worms. We are talking dozens of them, writhing in a mass of blood and tissue. They identified the creature, Rhylietiella orientalis, the snake lungworm. This parasite is native to Asia. It lives inside the Burmese pythons. But here is the twisted part. The pythons are immune to it. They evolved together. The python carries the worm, spreads the eggs, but does not get sick. It is an asymptomatic carrier. The native Florida snakes, they have zero immunity. When this worm gets inside a pygmy rattlesnake or a garter snake, it does not just live there, it feeds. It devours the lung tissue, causes massive inflammation, and physically blocks the snake's ability to breathe. The footage of infected snakes is hard to watch. You see these animals opening their mouths, stretching their necks, desperately trying to get oxygen, but their airways are clogged with parasites. In the final stages, the worms can even crawl out of the snake's mouth. And the transmission cycle is a nightmare of efficiency. It works like this. The python leaves waste in the swamp. The waste is full of worm eggs. A cockroach or a beetle eats the waste. A frog eats the cockroach. And then a native snake eats the frog. Boom, infected. The larva tunnels through the snake's stomach wall, migrates to the lungs, and grows into a blood-feeding worm. What most people do not realize is how fast this is moving. The pythons are mostly stuck in South Florida because of the cold, but the parasite, it has jumped ship. It does not need the python anymore. It is cycling through the native ecosystem on its own. It has been found as far north as Jacksonville. It is moving faster than the snakes ever could. We are looking at a scenario where the pythons could disappear tomorrow, and the plague would continue. It is a biological fire that cannot be put out. But nature is weird. In the middle of this disaster, scientists noticed one native snake that was not perishing, the cottonmouth. For some reason, these venomous water vipers seem to handle the parasite better than the others. Are they the chosen survivors? Or just the last to fall? While the worms were decimating the small snakes, the state decided it was time to bring in the heavy artillery. If the bad guys have a giant snake, maybe the good guys need one too. Reclaiming the Apalachicola. So, here's the deal. When your ecosystem is collapsing, sometimes you have to do something that sounds completely insane. The decision was made. Release more snakes. But not just any snake. They wanted to bring back the king, the eastern indigo snake.
We're talking about snakes. Dozens of snakes were released into the wild in North Florida to eat other invasive snakes.
If you have never seen an indigo, picture a snake made of gunmetal and midnight oil. They are the longest native snake in North America, reaching nearly 9 feet. They are massive, powerful, and utterly fearless. And they have a very specific diet. They eat other snakes, they eat rattlesnakes, They eat copperheads. They eat cottonmouths. They are immune to the venom of American vipers. They do not constrict their prey. They just grab it with jaws like a vice and chew it down. They are the emperor of the forest. But the indigo had vanished from North Florida decades ago. Development and habitat loss wiped them out. So, a coalition of zoos and agencies started a secret breeding program. They raised these emperors in captivity, waiting for the right moment. That moment is now. In the Apalachicola Bluffs, far to the north of the python invasion, trucks rolled in. Volunteers carried pillowcases deep into the longleaf pine forests, and one by one, they released the indigos back into their ancestral home. The footage of these releases is actually emotional. You see this magnificent iridescent blue snake slithering down into a gopher tortoise burrow, its natural fortress. For years, nobody knew if it would work. Reintroductions fail all the time. The captive snakes might starve. They might get taken out by predators. But then, late last year, a trail cam snapped a photo that had biologists high-fiving in the office. It was a picture of a baby indigo snake, a hatchling. This was not a released snake. This was wild-born. The emperors were breeding. They were establishing a beachhead. Now, everyone is asking the same question. What happens when the indigo meets the python? The indigo is big, but a python is a monster. An indigo cannot eat a 15-foot python, but it could eat a hatchling. It could eat a juvenile. An indigo snake is an active hunter, a patrol car that never sleeps. If they can scour the forest floor and clean up the baby pythons before they get big, they might just be the firewall that saves North Florida. It is a gamble, a massive biological gamble. But just as we thought we were putting all our chips on the indigo, the leaked footage from Big Cypress threw us another curveball. The native resistance is not just coming from the labs, it is coming from the locals. Evolution in real time. Deep in the Big Cypress National Preserve, there was a python nest. A massive female was guarding it. Researchers had their eyes on it, hoping to catch her, but a trail camera beat them to it. The footage, recovered from the card, shows a bobcat walking into the frame. Now, usually, a bobcat avoids a python. It is a weight class mismatch, but this cat, a male weighing maybe 25 pounds, did not back down. He stalked the nest. He realized the giant female was sluggish, maybe shedding, maybe just distracted, and he went to work. The camera captured the bobcat swatting at the snake, dodging strikes with reflexes that made the python look like it was moving in slow motion. But the real shocker was not the fight. It was what happened after. The bobcat did not just destroy the eggs, it started eating them. And then, in a twist that nobody expected, footage from other areas started showing bobcats taking down and caching python carcasses. Caching is when a cat covers its meal with leaves and dirt to save it for later. This is high-level behavior. It means the bobcats are not just reacting defensively. They are recognizing the pythons as a food source. They are learning. This is huge. It is what scientists call biotic resistance. It takes time, sometimes decades, for native predators to figure out how to take down a new invader. But it is happening. The bobcats are targeting the nests. The alligators are ambushing the smaller snakes in the water. We even have reports of Florida panthers, the rarest cat in North America, taking down pythons. The swamp is waking up. The footage of that bobcat standing over a defeated python, with the timestamps glowing in the corner, is the most hopeful thing we have seen in 20 years. It proves that the Everglades is not just a victim, it is a fighter. But let us not get ahead of ourselves. A few brave bobcats cannot eat 300,000 snakes. The parasites are still spreading. The indigos are still few in number. The war is far from over. We are standing at a crossroads. To the south, a biological dead zone where the silence is deafening. To the north, a desperate line of defense held by reintroduced snakes and adapting predators. The footage tells us one thing for sure: nature finds a way. But usually, nature's way is violent, messy, and totally unpredictable. The aftermath is not just something we are watching, it is something we are living through. The Florida you knew is gone. The new Florida is a battlefield, and the creatures fighting for it are evolving right before our eyes. So, who wins the ultimate battle for the swamp? The invisible parasite, the giant invader, or the native alliance? It is a coin toss with the ecosystem at stake. If you think the Bobcat Rebellion stands a chance, hit that like button. Subscribe to keep tracking the mystery, because the swamp has not revealed all its secrets yet.